Welcome aboard, folks, and welcome back to regular viewers. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you the flight kit that I used to use aboard the Embraer 145 aircraft, or the flight kit of the past. And then I'm going to show you my bag and the flight kit of today and how it's changed over time. I've been doing this just shy of 20 years, and a lot has changed. Before we start the video, I'd like for you to go ahead and check out our website at rodmayfield.com. We'll have the link down below in the description. We are a brand new channel. We would love your support, so head on over, check it out. We got articles. All the videos are centered over there, and the website is growing. We'll also have pictures and a lot more content on the website, so make sure to check it out. Now, without delay, let's take a look at the kit. One of the things that, fun fact actually, the #1 cause of airline pilot injury over the years, back in the day, was the flight kit. It's extremely heavy. And, you know, unfortunately, most people just don't work out. So when you sit down on the flight deck and you need to pick up your kit and put it where it used to go, it was a rather tight space, not much space, and you had to twist your back. So that twisting motion resulted in lower back injury, which was the #1 reason pilots would get injured. So there we go. We no longer have to deal with this because the flight kits have changed. But this good old bag served me for a very long time. All the stickers in it have a history. Everything about it, it's just reminiscent of the past, and it's really special. So, obviously, we got the flags. I was born in Brazil. I grew up abroad, and I arrived in Florida when I was 12 years old and beyond. So I've been there. I've been in the U.S. since. So we got the flag over there, of course. ExpressJet, which was the company I worked for, we provided service for Continental Express, which no longer exists. They became United after they merged with United. So then it would be United Express, which later on is what we were doing. This is the Embraer 145 aircraft, the National Association of Flight Instructors, the NAFI. I was a flight instructor for years and years, building experience to get on with the airlines. Graduated out of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, so we got our sticker there. And for some time, ExpressJet had considered doing their own branded flying, meaning you could buy a ticket on ExpressJet Airlines out of the West Coast. It was a fantastic startup. It got a little complicated, so the operation couldn't continue due to some legal battles that was taking place. But it was a very successful startup. But one of the potential names was SureJet, which, is a little funny. So we made a sticker out of it, and yeah, so that's the story. All right, let's get into it. What do we have here? Charts, folks. The key word is charts. We got lots and lots of charts. So, pilots have to navigate the whole country and go to hundreds of airports that we serviced, and we needed charts for each and every one of those airports. So these are what we call IFR charts, navigational charts, that luckily today we just have it in our iPad. But right here, I'll open one up for you real quick. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but it's a beautiful thing, I tell you. Learn to fly with paper charts. Nothing beats it, It's just... It's real special. You have to know all the symbols, all the details, and you're working with, the paper in hand. You have to fold it and use it. It's just really cool. Part of how everybody's learned to fly until just recently, which was, using the charts. Still remember the code to unlock it, which was the amount of flight time I got hired on, which I had about 960 hours when I got on with them. And then, check this out. We got loads and loads of charts. And believe you or not, these were not all of them. There was, I think, another kit I had that I kept it at home. So, and I got loads of charts, folks. You guys wouldn't believe it. So, all this stuff here is what we used to navigate, right? So for years and years, airline pilots had to sit every 2 weeks and go over these charts. Now, you only had to change, obviously, the charts that were updated, so it's not like you had to go individually chart by chart, but you did have to update your entire kit. So it would take anywhere from, at the fastest, was just a little bit less than an hour, to a few hours every 2 weeks updating your charts. Not exactly a fun task, but you know, it's one of those things you just got to do, and you do it. And then every once in a while, I believe once a year, you'd get a checklist to make sure that the dates of each individual chart was correct, that you had not made a mistake at any time, anywhere during the revisions. So then you would request only the charts that you had made a mistake. So once a year, you actually went through each individual page throughout the entire kit, which is mind-boggling, right? So you had, you know, some accessories, right? You had the loops, so you could actually pull the manual out of your kit without strain and without hurting the manual. You also had a full leather Jepson binder kit, and these would last a very long time, but just a binder, I remember it was very expensive. I want to say like 60 or $100, something along those lines. Now, what I would do is before every trip, I would select the airports I was going to fly to, and I would put all of those airports into my trip kit binder, right? So this obviously smaller, lighter, easier to manage. So then in here, I would have the details of the flight. I would pre-select the navigation charts I needed. So wherever I'd happen to be going, I would have that chart available. That way I wouldn't have to fumble through all of these and look for one of those charts, which would make it much easier, quicker, safer, right? Then you'd have some quick reference material, technical information, tabs, things that are extremely important you need to have handy. And then you get to your charts for your trip. So I typically go, you know, departure airport, maybe destination, alternate, and maybe some emergency airports in the process. Or a variation of that, it could be, you know, arriving to the airport, approach plate, the actual ground. We call it a -9, which is where we have the ground map of the airport to quickly go to after landing, and then alternate procedures. So, you know, you tab it whichever way you'd like, but punchline is you'd have this tab for your trip to make it fast. Continuing on, let's see what we got here. Very important, not all airplanes have built-in shades. In fact, most don't. And you have to carry your shades with you. In the summer, it makes a huge difference, right? Trying to mitigate that heat, stress, and fatigue. Flight decks can easily get to 100 Fahrenheit. I had this, this chart holder. You'd place it precisely in an area in the cockpit here on my right or on my left, depending if you're first officer or captain, and you'd place it there so you would be able to have it hold on to your trip binder, like so, and then you wouldn't have to hold on to it, and it would be a lot more organized, secure, and safe, right? That was a very important accessory to have. And then over here, we have some extra something of the past here. Man, used to use these reinforcement labels. These little labels here, oh man. You just dispense them like so. You pull it out. You get the, you know, the little white sticker, and you place it on your chart. In case the chart started to rip, the reinforcement would make sure the chart stayed in place. You didn't lose your chart. Had some postage, take notes, make notes on charts. And then we had printed, issued by the company, a chart to use for every single flight where you're annotating numbers that are special and particular to that flight, right? Which there are always many, many numbers that pilots have to know quick and have access to, as far as how much fuel you need to take off, what kind of weight you can expect, takeoff and landing, how's the weather, any limitations, any important procedures. Pilots always need some way to take some notes while you are operating. And then this bag, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is about it. Of course, I also had a flashlight in there. And the flashlight is required by the Federal Aviation Regulation. All pilots have flashlights with them. Back in the day, they actually specified the batteries that went into the flashlights, which I believe it was the double D that was required. So you had a good, powerful flashlight to use, of course. So this is the trip kit of the past. It really is a trip down memory lane. Love sharing this with you guys. A lot of history here, of course. Didn't talk about this little green binder, but this little green binder, then I had printed legal documents as well as bulletins. So there are always changes to procedures. They're so complicated, right? We have thousands of pages of manuals, and procedures are always changing. So today, electronically, we get the bulletins. In the past, you had to print them out and carry it with you. And there were procedures that were mandated to have on board, and so these are the ones that you end up carrying with you. You'd also have some backup forms. In this case, this is vintage, let me tell you. This is a weight and balance manual backup, which is just awesome. Yes, so as it turns out, back in the day, engineers used to do it, the flight engineer. Today, obviously, we have software and computers that can process the numbers and real quick. But for years and years, the pilots had to do the weight and balance, which means you have to know how many adults and kids and lap babies you have located throughout the cabin, and what is their distribution, the amount of gas on the wings, and the amount of cargo on board the aircraft. You would calculate it all out, and then you'd get your maximum, you get your actual weight, your performance limitations, how heavy can you weigh on that runway, as well as your center of gravity, which will impact how the airplane behaves during flight. So you'd have to calculate that every single flight. And there you go, that's a vintage form. I also have a backup checklist. Very important to have a backup checklist just in case something happens with the main checklist. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this little old kit. Next step up, we're going to bring the current flight kit. It looks very different. Folks, thank you very much for joining me in today's video. I had a pleasure making this and recording this for you. Very much looking forward to having you back here on this channel in the near future. So go ahead, stay tuned, come back, like and subscribe, share this video. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, fly safe.